رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة بسم الله الحمد لله إياك نستعين المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي العربي القرشي المكي المدني الهاشمي صاحب قاب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين جد الحسن والحسين النبي الحرمين والإمام القبلتين والرسول الثقلين الذين سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم أجمعين. أما بعد فقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يا علي أنت وشيعتك هم الفائزون. صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد in honor of Imam Hasan and Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam saying another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Imam, recite a third loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Muhammad wa ajil faraja. Inshallah ta'ala, the next 14 or 15 days that we have remaining of the holy month of Ramadan, we will this will be our theme, which is from this hadith of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam where he says, Ya Ali anta wa shi'atuka humul faizun, you and your Shia will be the successful ones. So inshallah this will be our theme, and we will discuss regarding success. What does success mean? What are the different types of success? And then inshallah we'll speak about Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam and his Shia, and what does it mean for a person to be a Shia of Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. Now today, since we are still in the ayyam of Imam Hasan and Mujtaba alayhi salam, I thought we would look at some aspects of his life, and then inshallah from tomorrow we'll discuss our this topic for the remaining days inshallah. So recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Regarding Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, there's many aspects of his life, and there's one thing which we generally mention regarding all of the Aimma alayhi salatu wasalam, regarding their seerat and regarding their lives, and that is how to identify a person as an Imam. How do we know that this particular individual is the Imam? So there's many ways, but in terms of how to identify somebody who is an Imam from the seerat of the Aimma alayhi salatu wasalam, from their lives, there are three main ways. The first, of course, is with respect to the knowledge of that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's principle from the first day is that the person whom he has chosen as his representative is one who knows more than everybody else. And that's not because we have some desire that this person needs to know more than everybody else, but because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's work requires that person to know more than everybody else. If he is the hujjat and the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on all the creation, then he has to know more than everything everybody else knows. The second aspect is with regards to the generosity of that person. That the person who is the Imam, is the representative of God, is more generous, is more giving than anybody else in his time. And the third aspect is of bravery, of courage, that this person is the most courageous in his time. So in regards to, we'll mention, depending on how much we can get through, regarding one aspect of each of these points, so we can reflect on Imam Hasan Mujtaba's life and hopefully derive some lesson from that for our own lives. Recite Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So one day Imam Hasan Mujtaba is young, still a child, still in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet of Islam. He comes home and he relates what he's heard from Rasulullah in the Masjid to his mother, Hazrat Zahra Salamullah. And this story is very important. I'm sure you've heard it before, but it's very important because there's an important lesson in it for all of our lives. And that is that Imam Hasan Mujtaba relates what he heard from his grandfather Rasulullah in the Masjid, and later on when Imam Amirul Mu'mineen comes home, Hazrat Zahra says to him that my father said this, this and this in the sermon today. So Imam Amirul Mu'mineen asks, how do you know when you were in the house and not in the masjid? Now I have to pause here and mention that all of the people in this story are ma'soom. So it's not, there's no need for Imam Hasan to come and tell Hazrat Zahra what Rasulullah said in the masjid. And there's no reason for Imam Amirul Mu'mineen to ask, how do you know, when they're all ma'soom. But this story is not just a story, it's a story for our own lives and how it's supposed to be related in our own lives. So Hazrat Zahra says, your son Imam Mujtaba informed me of what Rasulullah said in the masjid today. So Imam Amirul Mu'mineen says that I want to also listen and hear what does Hasan Mujtaba how does he relate what Rasulullah said in the masjid today. So the next day Imam Amirul Mu'mineen comes into the house and he stands behind the curtain and he waits for Imam Hasan Mujtaba to come and to relate the day's proceedings from the masjid. Now the next day when Imam Hasan Mujtaba comes and he is now relating the sermon that Rasulullah delivered that day, there's a noticeable difference in the way that he's relating the sermon. He's not relating it in the same way that he related it from the previous day. So Hazrat Zahra asks him and says that why is it that yesterday you narrated everything confidently, you narrated everything with great flow, and today you haven't narrated it in the same way? There's something feels like that is different, that you haven't narrated it in the same way as you narrated it yesterday. So Imam Hasan Mujtaba says, and this part of the story is perhaps the most important part. Imam Hasan Mujtaba says, I feel that there's somebody here today that wasn't here yesterday. And they know better than me. They know more than me. At that moment, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen comes out from behind the door. He embraces Imam Hasan Mujtaba and he says that these are the children of Imam. This is the end of the story, and you heard it many times before. But what this story tells us is, number one, that there's a point and an importance of coming into the masjid. Otherwise, Imam Hasan Mujtaba is ma'soom. He doesn't need to go to the masjid to listen to what his grandfather Rasulullah is saying. But Imam Hazrat Zahra Salamullah alayha is teaching us that Imam Hasan Mujtaba is ma'soom, but because he's a child, and we want you to learn from our examples that you also make sure that your children come into the masjid. And then they listen to what's said in the masjid, and then you go home and you ask them what did they hear in the masjid so that they relate what they heard in the masjid. Imam Hasan Mujtaba, this is when he's a child. And all the hadith that you know and hear about Imam Hasan Mujtaba or Imam Hasan from the Holy Prophet are from when they are children. And so, for example, when Rasulullah says Hasan and Husayn are the leaders of the youth of paradise, he doesn't say they're the leaders of the youth of paradise when they'll be grown up. He doesn't say they'll be the leaders of the youth of paradise when they are older. No, he says they are the leaders of the youth of paradise now when they're still children. And this tells us that even at that moment in time, if somebody wants to recognize and know, and these hadith are well known, to recognize that Imam Hasan Mujtaba is not ordinary. Is not ordinary. If he's ordinary, then he would have said when he's grown up he'll be. But no, when he's still a child, he's still special that he's leader of all the people in paradise, even though he's a child. When he's grown up, of course, now there's a different responsibility from Imam Amirul Mu'minin salam. He needs to make sure that people know that he's the Imam. And in order to introduce him as Imam, he has to make sure that all those characteristics of Imam become apparent in him. So, for example, one time there's a person who's caught, and this person is caught with a knife in his hand, and there's blood dripping off the knife. And next to him, there's a person who's dead. And a group of people come searching for the person who's being killed, who killed this person. And this person is standing there with a knife in his hand, and there's blood on the knife. So they say to him, "Did you kill him?" And he confesses, he says, "Yes, I killed him." Then he's brought into the court, he's brought in to get justice. At that moment in time, when he's brought there, another person comes. And this person comes and says, "No, that person did not kill him, but rather I killed him." Now, this is the time of Khilafat, they're confused. And what shall we do? This person confessed that he killed him. And he had the knife in his hand, and there's blood dripping from the knife. And this second person has come and said, "No, he didn't kill him, I killed him." So what shall we do? So they call Imam Amirul Mu'minin salam, and they say, "Ya Ali, how shall we solve this matter?" Imam Amirul Mu'minin salam says that this matter would be resolved by my son Hasan Mujtaba. So Imam Hasan Mujtaba says to him, so he says to the first person, the one who had the knife in his hand, the blood dripping from the knife, he says, "What happened? Why is it that you did this? Or did you do this?" So this is the first lesson. That you, even if there's circumstantial evidence against somebody, first ask that person, "Did you do it or not?" Before you make any judgments, first you ask that person, you give him the chance to explain himself, defend himself. So he says, to Imam Hasan Mujtaba salam, that I am a butcher, I was slaughtering an animal, and as I was slaughtering the animal, I needed to answer the call of nature. Now, this is the old times. There's no bathrooms in the houses. If you want to answer the call of nature, you have to go outside. He says, I was slaughtering the animal, and during that act of slaughtering, I needed to answer the call of nature. So I went outside, And when I went outside, there was this person who was already been killed lying there. And whilst I was answering the call of, and I answered the call of nature, and this mob of people came behind, and they saw me next to this person who's dead, and I've got a knife in my hand, and there's blood dripping off the knife. I knew all the circumstantial evidence is against me. If I don't confess, then they're going to kill me on the spot. So I confessed, and I thought, let me come here and explain myself. So Imam Hasan Mujtaba says, the judgment is as follows. The first person is freed, and the second person is also freed. So they came to Imam Amirul Mu'minin and they said to him that what kind of judgment did Hasan Mujtaba give? That person, first one was innocent. Second one admitted that I've killed him, and he also said the second one is free as well. So Imam Amirul Mu'minin says, why are you asking me? Ask Hasan Mujtaba, the one who made the judgment. Right? So they come to Hasan Mujtaba, they say, you have to explain your judgment. Imam Hasan Mujtaba says, the first one was set free because he was innocent. And the second one was set free because the first, he saved the life of the first one. Because he saved the life of the first one. When they asked him, they said, what's the reality? He says, the reality is that I killed him and I want to run away. But when I heard that an innocent person was going to be executed for a crime that I committed, my conscience did not allow me to stay away, and I came and confessed the murder. Imam Hasan Mujtaba says, didn't you read the ayat in Holy Quran? Whoever saves one life is though he saved the whole of humanity. For this reason I set the second person free because he saved the life of the first person who was innocent and would have been executed. Recite Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Now this ayat of Holy Quran that whoever kills a soul is though he killed the whole of humanity. Whoever saves a life is though he saved the life of all of humanity. It's in front of everyone. But how do you know how to use this ayat and where the application of this ayat? This is why you need an imam to tell you and explain to you what is the meaning of Holy Quran. For this reason. Now this is in terms of the knowledge of Imam Hasan Mujtaba. Quickly, let me just quickly mention two more questions. One is from, in fact both of them are from the Holy Roman Emperor. On one occasion, Holy Roman Emperor invites all of the dignitaries' representatives. And he says to all of the people, send your dignitaries, send your representatives to me. So Amir Sham sends Yazid as his representative, and Imam Amirul Mu'minin sends Imam Hasan Mujtaba. So Holy Roman Emperor says to Yazid, here are my questions. It's written in the previous scriptures that whoever is the successor of the Holy Prophet or the representative of the successor of the Holy Prophet will have the answers to these questions. He asks Yazid, Yazid says, I don't know. Holy Roman Emperor says, how can you claim to be the representative of the Khalifa of the Holy Prophet when you don't know the answers to the questions? So then he asks Imam Hasan Mujtaba. What are the questions? A long list of questions. I'll mention a couple of them. First question, he says, what is the distance between truth and falsehood? Then he says, what's the distance between the heavens and the earth? Then he says, what are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created which have no mother and father? Imam Hasan Mujtaba replies to him that the distance between truth and falsehood is of 4 fingers. Whatever you hear is falsehood unless you testify it with your eyes. Then he says, what is the distance between heaven and earth? He says the distance between heaven and earth is the cry of the oppressed, the person who cries out on the earth and he is heard in the heavens. Then he says, what are the things which are created without mother or father? Imam ﷺ says there are 7. Adam, and then Hawa, and then the crow which was created to teach Qabil how to bury Habil. Then the Naqa, the she-camel of Saleh. Then the ram which came in place of Ismail ﷺ and got sacrificed. Then the stick of Musa ﷺ which used to turn into a serpent. And the 7th is the bird that Isa ﷺ created through clay and then said, Qum bi'idhnillah. Holy Roman Emperor is still not satisfied. One day he sends somebody to Sham again with some questions. Amir Sham says, look, I don't have the answers. The only person who's going to have the answers is Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So he disguises somebody from Sham and sends him to Kufa. Says, go and find out the answers to these questions. This person comes to Kufa. He says to Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam that I'm a resident of your city and I live here and I have some questions. And Imam alayhi salam says to him, you're a liar. Imam says, you're a liar. You've come from Sham and the Holy Roman Emperor has sent questions to Amir Sham who he doesn't have the answers to. So he told you, come here and get the answers from me. So Imam Amirul Mu'minin says, now this is very important. Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam says, this is my son Muhammad Hanafiya. And this is the son of Rasulullah Hasan and Mujtaba. Whomsoever you like, you ask them your questions. Ya Ali, why are you saying this is the son of Rasulullah? He says, you know the ayat of Mubahala? Ever since the revelation of ayat of Mubahala, Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam never called Hasan and Husayn alayhi salam as his own sons. He always used to say, this is the son of Rasulullah. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said so. On the day of Mubahala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has considered Hasan and Husayn as the sons of Rasulullah, and therefore since then Imam Amirul Mu'minin calls Hasan and Husayn sons of Rasulullah. This person comes to Imam Hasan and Mujtaba alayhi salam and he says that first question. He says the question is, what are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created which are strong but one after the other? Imam alayhi salam replies to him. He says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created stone, which is very strong. But He's created iron which is stronger than the stone because it breaks the stone. Then He's created fire which is stronger than the iron because it melts the iron. Then He's created water which is stronger than the fire because it puts out the fire. Then He's created the cloud which holds the water. Then He's created the wind which moves the cloud. Then He's created the angel of wind who is controlling all of the winds. Then He's created the angel of death. Stronger than that, He's created the angel of death which one day will take the soul of the angel of wind. Then He's created death itself which one day would come to the angel of death. And stronger than all of these things is the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which changes the time of death. And we are sahibul amr, ulil amr who control all of these commands. Salawat ala Muhammad. وسائنا the salawat ala Muhammad. Now, finally, we have one title of Imam alayhi salam. We mentioned knowledge, many examples of that. Now, regarding generosity. We have a title of Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. It's called Kareem Ahl Bayt. What does this mean? What does this title, what is the weight of this title? If we want to know the weight of this title, I'll give you an example. If we go to a place, city, where, for example, there's only one scholar, one alim din, and you say that in this city, there's only one alim din and he's very good. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing. But how can you compare? There's only one. You don't know because there's only one. But for example, you get blessed, inshallah ta'ala, all of you get this blessing, that you go for ziyarat, you go to Najaf Ashraf or you go to Qum, and there somebody says to you, this person who you're going to meet, he's a grand scholar. And you will say, surely there's something great about him. Why? You say, everywhere you look, you see scholars. Everywhere you go, every house, every road, every area is full of scholars. In that place, in that city, if somebody says to you, this person is a grand scholar, you will say, truly there's something great about him for this reason. Somebody has said that out of hundreds of people, this person is grand. You read in the ziyarat of the 12th Holy Imam every single Friday, Anta Kareemun min awladil kiram. Yabna Rasulullah, O Imam, you are the generous one who is from the family of generous people. Hashim was called Hashim because he used to break bread and feed people even though there was droughts in Mecca. Abdul Muttalib and Abu Talib used to feed people for 3 days, whoever used to come to Mecca and do Hajj. The Holy Prophet of Islam and Amirul Mu'mineen salam and all of the family of the Holy Prophet of Islam's generosity is famous. Out of all of these people, if somebody is called Kareem, Ahlul Bayt, there's something special about him. For this reason, he's called Kareem Ahlul Bayt. Salawat ala Muhammad. What's the examples of his karam? Just time is running out. What's the examples of his karam, of his generosity? Every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, there's people coming to his house and his door is open, feeding them whatever time of day they want to come. He's having food and feeding people without any questions. Who are you? Do you need it? Do you not need it? No questions. You want food? Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam's dastarkhan, his house is open. But not just that. One person, one Hashimi, one Sayyid and one Umawi person from Banu Umayyah have an argument. The Hashimi says, our family is more generous. Umawi says, no, our family is more generous. They said, okay, you go to your people, get money from them, and then we'll find out. Umawi goes to 10 people from his clan, gets 10,000 from each of them, he has 100,000. Hashimi comes to Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam. Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam says to him, I have right now 150,000. Gives him 150,000. Then he goes to Imam Husayn alayhi salam. This is very important. He goes to Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Imam Husayn alayhi salam says, who did you go to? He said, I went to your brother Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam. He said, how much did he give you? He said, 150,000. He said, because Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam gave you 150,000, I'll also give you 150,000. Why? Imam Hasan Mujtaba is whom? Even Imam Husayn alayhi salam says he's my Imam. Imam Husayn alayhi salam says, I can give you more, but because he's giving you 150, I'm also giving you 150. Now they come, they meet again. So he's gone to 10 people, 100,000. He's gone to Imam Hasan and Imam Husayn, he's already got 300,000. He comes back. Umawi gets annoyed, he goes back, he returns the money to all the owners. This person also comes back. He comes to give the money back to Imam Hasan and Imam Husayn alayhi salam. They say to him, whatever we're given, we don't give back. Whatever we're given, we don't give back. Another person comes. Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salam says, write down your need. He writes it down. Imam alayhi salam gives him double of what he has written down. They say to him, why did you do this? Imam said, whatever he needed is obligatory. Wajib on me to give him. Whatever I've given in addition to that is called generosity. Whatever I gave in addition to that is generosity. Not what he needed, no, what I gave in addition to that is generosity. Amir Sham hears about this, he writes to Imam alayhi salam. He writes to Imam alayhi salam, he writes, La khaira fil israf. There's no good when it comes to israf, excessiveness. Imam alayhi salam writes back to him. Just changes the order of the sentence. Just writes, changes the order of the sentence. He says, no. La israfa fil khair. There is no excessiveness when it comes to doing good. This is very important. This is very important. Not only his answer to Amir Sham, but this answer to you and me. That nobody should ever think that I've done so many good things in my life. No, Imam alayhi salam is saying there's no excessiveness when it comes to doing good. Whatever you've done in your life, it will never be enough. There is no excessiveness. There is no israf when it comes to doing good. When it comes to doing khair. One last thing, because he said about courage. Now, Regarding Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, we mentioned, and this is a big fallacy, that Ali Billah, he didn't display any courage. That he didn't display courage. But in reality, what do we see from Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam in terms of courage? So courage is not just to go into the battlefield, and if it is about the battlefield, then of course Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam killed people in the battle of Jamal, and he killed people in the battle of Siffin, and he killed people in the battle of Naharawan. Okay? But it's not just about, courage is not about fighting. Courage is about who is the person who can make the best decisions at the right time. At the right time. So Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam, final thing, I know the time of Salah is coming close. Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, who makes this decision of having peace treaty. With this peace treaty, what does he do? And what is the courage that he displays? That he forces the Amir of Sham to admit to his wrongdoings. To get the oppressor, the person who's opposed to you, who's your opponent, to admit his mistakes, his wrongdoing. There's nobody who's more courageous than that. Inshallah ta'ala, time for today is up. Inshallah ta'ala, from tomorrow we will go towards our topic, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our actions in this holy month and hasten the appearance of our awaited Imam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.